Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is Veterans Day, and to all the vets out there, I want to say Happy Veterans Day. To everyone who works around veterans, you know it's an important day for America. And I've continually said, I don't really care to hear thank you for your service. You know, the reason we do it is very personal and individual. Serving the country, right? It's something that you would think our politicians share a similar mindset. They're there to serve the country. Well, they're really not. You know, these bureaucrats, do you think they think of themselves as public servants? No, they don't. They're there for themselves and themselves only. They're there for a big fat paycheck, et cetera, to enrich themselves, for prestige, et cetera. I don't know anybody that joined the service, anybody. And I'm sure there are some out there, but I don't know anybody who did it for selfish reasons. It was to serve the country, to honor the memory of family, both near and distant. Those things affect the way we think. Our love for our families, for our towns, for our cities, for the country. That's why we signed up. Now, what they're doing today is just completely off the charts wrong. And I know there are good young men and women who are enlisting and being commissioned as officers that still share the same values that most of us older guys and gals had. But there's a lot of people signing up now for different reasons other than what veterans used to sign up for, right? I don't know what they're doing there, folks. But when I see fishnet stockings on an officer in the Pentagon, I know it's not because they want to serve the country, right? It is incredibly dishonorable, in my opinion, what is being done to the service today, whether it's Marine Corps, Army, Air Force, or Navy, it doesn't matter. You know, they're totally dishonoring military tradition, what it's about. And to be blatant and frank, you know, the military's job is to break things and kill people. Right. And if we're not doing that, there's no war going on. It's because people are afraid that if they were to make a mistake, by people, I mean other governments. They're afraid that if they made that decision to go to war, that we would show up in an instant and start breaking things and killing people. So it's a deterrent, right? It's a protective deterrent. National defense used to be about protecting the nation. Now it's about national defense and protecting corporate interests, and it's very, very sad. We got to witness that through the last few wars for the last couple of decades, as Americans began to realize that guarding poppy fields wasn't quite the mission they had in mind. Still, they serve, though, and they serve honorably. And today, veterans are being picked on. They're being threatened, right? People don't join the military to get VA benefits. They may join for the GI Bill to help pay for college, but they don't sign up for VA benefits. That's not the prime motivator for most. Yet that's what the government, Biden, the Secretary of Defense, the Pentagon, the top brass, they're deciding to use threats, taking away the benefits of those. And they're very small benefits, folks, very small. Trying to threaten people, coerce them into taking the Jim Jones juice. Where is the honor in that? Threatening people, especially veterans who sign up and know that at one point, they may be put in harm's way. And it's not that they don't care. It's that they're willing to make that personal sacrifice, take that personal risk for themselves, for their unit, for their country. And these people disrespect that on a daily basis with their coercive political horse shit. Now, I want to talk about one little teeny person right now that I know every real veteran, active or inactive, is fighting for. And you know, right? This is a little girl, a second grader in Florida, no less. A second grade girl. She has been suspended 38 times Why, you ask? Because she won't wear a mask in school. And she went up and she addressed the school board herself. She wrote her own little speech and she read it. A second grader wrote her own speech and read it to the school board and told them that she's going to continue to do what she needs to do to be a free little girl. And that she also let them know that she hopes that they all go to jail for what they're doing to kids. She's a brave little girl, right? When you hear stuff like that, the American spirit, it makes you say, yeah, that's what America is supposed to be about. Being free and telling tyrants, you don't own me. You don't get to tell me what to do. Who knows what this girl is going to do when she grows up, who she's going to become. But she's got a good little head on her shoulders and she's brave, right? That represents what America is supposed to be about, what it started as. Right? I can't imagine a single snowflake up to age 30, having the guts and the brains to stand in front of, one of these highly revered boards. They pretend like they're gods sitting on their dais, raised up in their comfortable leather chairs with their fat asses polishing them up, acting like they're bigger and better than everyone else. They're just elected bureaucrats. That's all they are. And they're violating people's rights. Now, when you violate a country's rights, you attack them, they send in the military, they send in the Marine Corps, they send in the Army. And they go in and they stomp the ever-loving shit out of the enemy. Here in our country, we now have tyrants in the government, tyrants all the way down to school boards, violating people's rights. It's just short of acts of violence. Now in Australia, they're getting those acts of violence, and we have had acts of violence here, no doubt, with police beating people and arresting them for doing nothing other than standing in public and exercising their First Amendment right. I think it's important, veterans, for us to remember our oaths, what we know to be right, and that if there's violence on our streets, it is our right and our duty to take care of the tyrants, just like this little girl would if she had that ability, if she was physically capable. We are physically capable, and that's what the militia is. I'm talking about the Second Amendment original militia, not what today's militias are. Right? It's about being a veteran. It's about serving your country. It's about recognizing tyranny and standing up to it. And when acts of violence occur, like throwing a little girl out of school, and she's not the only one, but she's exceptionally brave for standing up and telling these teachers or these administrators and the school boards, telling them off. Couldn't be more proud to talk about her than on Veterans Day, because that's what we stand up for. I mean, you'll stand up for your country, won't you, veterans? I mean, just generically, hey, will you stand up for your country? The answer is yes. You say, look at this little girl, brave enough to stand up to a bunch of adults who are trying to ruin her scholastic experience, her academic growth. They're trying to ruin it by suspending her, by coercing her to do something that doctors say is not healthy. They're trying to do that. How much more do you as a veteran want to stand up and go fix these problems? Well, this is not a call to arms. I'm not saying do anything dangerous, harmful. I'm not glorifying or inciting violence. None of those things. I'm not breaking terms of service, YouTube. Relax. Relax, Mr. YouTube. What I am saying is the time is going to come. A lot of people ask, John, when's it going to happen? Well, I'm a prognosticator of sorts, but I can't give you a time or a date. I just know it's coming soon and it's coming faster. One of the tricks that tyrants like to use is to beat us, to defeat us with attrition. That is, wear us down until we give in. And that's what they think they're doing. So when we push back, they let off and they back off of us and say, yeah, you're right, we're done. They let everyone calm down and then they come right back at you. right back at you, hands in your face, with more mandates, more rules, more regulations. In fact, if I may, the Department of Homeland Security has come out and they've issued a bulletin. And they have said that extremists have called for attacks on elected officials, political representatives, government facilities, law enforcement, religious communities, commercial facilities, and perceived ideological opponents. Really? So what they're saying also is that if a new cerveza bug mandate is imposed, that these violent actions will be taken against the government. So the government is all concerned about the people. And they're most concerned not about parents, even though they've labeled them domestic terrorists. They're actually mostly concerned about veterans, because we are trained, because we are idealists. We love our country. How can that be wrong? We love our fellow man. How can that be wrong? We love freedom and liberty. How can that be wrong? And we despise tyrants who abuse their authority and abuse people. How can that be wrong? Well, it's only wrong if you are a tyrant, and you only oppose the veteran mindset if you are a tyrant. It's that simple, folks. You don't have to have a degree in philosophy or psychology. You don't have to have attended law school. You don't have to have been a veteran to understand the basic principles. But veterans are the most patriotic in a lot of ways, because they have been willing to stand up and say, yeah, that's why I'm doing this, for that little girl, for my little cousin, for my son, my daughter. I'm doing it because my dad, my uncle, my grandfather served. Whatever it is that drove them, they're serving everyone, and they want to. And the government, the Department of Homeland Security, is saying that we're planning attacks. No. What we're saying is we're aware of what is going on in Washington, D.C., and that we may live in free states, free counties, free cities. Though we may live there, we understand exactly what is going on, that the government is going to continue to take wild advances towards our liberties. So it is Veterans Day, and I want to call on you to remember why, as veterans, you signed up, what you were willing to do, and think about the enemy you were willing to engage. What does that enemy do? It hurts others. It steals from others. It does things wrong, right? Doing things wrong on a personal level is no better or worse than doing things wrong on a national level, right? It's all wrong, and we know it. You don't have to be a national security advisor to understand something is wrong on a national level. The same way you don't have to be a psychologist to understand what is wrong on a personal level. Personal or national, it does not matter. What you know is when something's wrong, and the government is overstepping its bounds, its reach. People are fighting in courts, as they should. But the violence that is inherent in the system, right? The system is violent, and it uses violence, threats, and coercion. And that makes a lot of people very upset. And to be labeled, because you're a veteran, to be labeled a potential domestic terrorist is beyond insult. And I know other veterans share that sentiment. So if you will, you don't have to go out and thank a veteran today. You can give them a nod, you can give them a high five, shake their hand, give them a hug. Yeah, all those things that don't involve social distancing. Right? They know what they've done, and they know why they did it. Right? But understand that that's inside our heads, serving the country, not serving politicians, not serving corporate interests, serving our fellow man. That's what we did it for. And we'll do it again. That oath, as the Oath Keepers stated, right, is for life. Right? It is not, I didn't swear an oath to serve tyrants. I swore my oath to the American people. into the idea of American exceptionalism and the American way of life, home of the free, right? That's us. It's supposed to be. When it ceases to be home of the free, we've got an entirely different problem. And that's why I hope you are prepared with food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan, right? Because it's coming. They are not going to quit. No tyrant has ever said, well, I'm satisfied with how well I've screwed the people over today, and I'm satisfied with how well I've screwed the people over this year, and I'm satisfied with how well I've screwed the people over for the last decade. I think I'll stop now. I think I'll back off and let the people have their liberties again. No tyrant has ever said that. Ever. They just get worse. Go ahead and ask Caligula. Go ahead and ask Genghis Khan if you wish. Go ahead and ask King George if he was willing to stop. The answer is always no. They will abuse and abuse. Go ahead and read your psychology books. Read about some of those with the worst, with the absolute worst psychological conditions. They will push and push and push. That's what they do. Anyways, I'm going to wish you all a happy Veterans Day. And thank you again for all that you do in support of the Prepared Mind Network and your country. Godspeed. Semper Fi. I'll talk to you soon.